Are you open to giving and sharing treasure? Oh, good, good. We are prosperous and we are rich. Rich in spirit, rich in love, rich in all ways. So I am blessed today to be here on my birthday. Thank you. There's something special about that day, isn't it? You wake up, it's my birthday. Yeah. So I'm glad, so happy to be here with all of you today. So a little girl was in Sunday school and she was sitting at the table and she was drawing a picture very intently. And one of the older kids came over and said, "What are you drawing?" And she said, "A picture of God." He said, "That's crazy. No one knows what God looks like." And she smiled and he said, "They will when I'm finished with this." So we've been looking into the wonder of our divine nature through the lens of our Unity 12 powers. And we've been taking one each month and going deeper with it. Yeah. And I want to thank Reverend Jackie last week. What a beautiful talk on love. Just going deeper with that love. So this month, our spiritual power is power. And this is the spiritual gift within us that accentuates and amplifies our creativity and the 11 other powers. So this is a fun one to work with. And so let's begin with the power of the spoken word with some affirmations. And I will say them all first, like a poem, and then I'll ask you to join me in affirming them. I am divinely creative. My source is divine power. My thoughts and words vibrate with divine power. I rest in the power of God and allow my creative energy to prosper, heal, and transform my life. I am divinely creative. So let's affirm that. Stand up if you choose, and you can move, put some movement into it as we affirm these truths together. I am divinely creative. My source is divine power. My thoughts and words vibrate with divine power. I rest in the power of God and allow my creative energy to prosper, heal, and transform my life. I am divinely creative. And so it is. Thank you. You may be seated. There's a lot of energy in this room today. And that's beautiful because that's what we want to do with our affirmations is put some energy into them when we affirm those truths and get our cells to vibrate with that truth. So did you know that you are a creative being? That you can't help it? That you're a chip off the old block of God Creator? And what are 3 things you have already created today, this morning? Maybe breakfast, a heart connection, a parking spot. Maybe you've helped someone with that, right? So hopefully it's 3 things that have brought you some joy or peace or connection or a smile. But if not, guess what? We always get a do-over, right? With our power to create something new, something better, something beautiful. So some people, when they hear the word creative or creativity, they think only of the creative arts with art, dance, music, sculpture, writing, which are lovely and wonderful. And we get to have that music jam today. That's going to be really fun. And creativity, it's good to remember that creativity extends to all aspects of our lives. Problem solving, being resourceful, building bridges over any moats of separation. Albert Einstein said, "Creativity is seeing what others see and thinking what no one else ever thought." So it's tapping into that God realm of infinite possibility. I like this too from writer Elizabeth Gilbert. A creative life is an amplified life. It's a bigger life, a happier life, an expanded life, and a heck of a lot more interesting. Sometimes we use our creativity just for fun, just to bring joy, for the pure joy of it, to make ourselves laugh or other people, or bring joy to other people, because there are no limits to the joy that you can bring. Okay, so do we have any knitters here? People who knit? How long would it take to make a Batman suit? I love this picture. She just rocks that suit, you know? And this, I'll explain this one a little bit. This woman has created a little puppet that feeds the squirrels. See that little squirrel down there? So if you're ever thinking, this idea is too crazy, I can't do this, think of this picture. So power in our society, we've been conditioned to think, or some think, that power comes from gaining a high position, having a lot of money. But money and position are fleeting. They're like a sugar rush, comes and goes. Not the true source of power. And the socially conditioned thought of dog eat dog and having control over others is power. That's all from the ego, right? But spiritual power that we're talking about is not about trying to control others or manipulate. This gift of spiritual power is the ability to have dominion and authority over our own lives. So it comes back to here. Now it's so easy to see it for other people. Let me just fix this for you. Always come back to our own lives, power and dominion over our own lives. In the first chapter of Genesis, we read that at the moment of our creation, God said, "Let us make humans in our image and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth." So we can take this literally. For spiritual food, let's look at this metaphysically. This passage is talking about our God mind having control over our thoughts and feelings. The fish, the fowl in this passage represent our thoughts and feelings. So we have dominion over our thoughts and feelings. The apostle associated with this power is Philip, whose name means lover of horses. Think of all the things that you have or work with that have horsepower. I don't know what electric cars have. What's that called? But things with motors, horsepower, the more horsepower it has. So Philip was called by Jesus, "Follow me." And Philip followed Jesus. And not only did he follow Jesus, but he brought his friend Nathanael, whom Jesus said comes without deceit. And so power comes without deceit, symbolically. You might think that power and strength are the same thing, but strength is more like endurance, stability, and stamina. And power is that vital energy, that force that enables us to do, to accomplish, to succeed. And we are channels for power. Did you know that? You are a channel for power. And power cannot be stored. We draw it from its spiritual source, and it must flow to show up as creations of good in our world and in our lives. So how do we access this and work with this power of power? The spoken word is the power of life. And if you think of the the most influential people, that they have moved crowds with the power of their words, the power of their spoken words. Does anybody come to mind? Leaders. So this ability to shape our world through the spoken word is one of our greatest tools, one of our greatest abilities to do. And we think of the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So all things are made through the Word. And not just the words themselves, but the energy and feeling put into those words. When head and heart are aligned, this energy is released. That gives us a sense of authority over our own lives and a sense of empowered co-creation. And this energy of thought and feeling combined, it's like two prongs for electricity. Head and heart. So what happens if you plug in your toaster and a prong breaks off? Nothing. Doesn't work. Nothing. Right? No toast. No power. Plug it in the toaster. But that's what happens in our lives when we say, I am prosperous, but I don't know how it's going to show up. The head wants to believe, the heart's going, I don't know, or vice versa. You know, it's kind of like having one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. You don't get very far. So the head and heart align our power. We use that divine power. So God's abundance is unlimited, so we speak it, we think it, we feel it, we imagine it, and know that it's already here. Already here. I love this chart here. And notice which words pop out at you while this slide is up too. So know that whatever you are drawn to, whatever is drawing you, already exists in the absolute realm. It already exists. And so we are aligning our heart, our mind with God mind to use that spiritual power of creation, of co-creation, to think it, feel it, speak it forth. Speak it forth. Some of us maybe grew up in a house of silence where our words were not welcomed or taken seriously, or we weren't listened to. So it may feel a little strange to affirm something out loud, declare it. I remember reading about Joe Namath. You remember Joe Namath? And he once said this, until I was 13, I thought my name was Shut Up. But we can heal our past. And we can speak words of affirmation to ourselves with more love and kindness than the past ever did. That's how we heal. We can practice claiming our oneness with the Christ within and reclaim our true spiritual nature and become the Word in creation, head and heart aligned. So when we do that, have you noticed times when your head, your heart is aligned and you just feel this forward motion in your life? Have you Can you sense that times when that has happened for you? Yeah, it feels like the wind is at your back and we're just moving forward. It's divinely creative power in you. So I invite you this week to notice when that happens. And notice when there's a brake and an accelerator going on too. And just stop, pause, breathe. And you can affirm alignment. I am one with the one. I am one with my divine nature. God is my true source of power, here, now, guiding me, aligning me in my true right next step. So our seat of power can be found in the throat area. Yeah. So this is about the vocal cords and the thyroid gland, which regulates growth. And this might be the easiest power to remember in Unity because we talk and we teach so much about the power of our words, right, of speaking into creation. And how what we say is a reflection of our state of consciousness. And knowing the great power that our words have to influence others. So have you noticed when it's times when it's difficult to speak, that the words just feel like they're just trapped right there? This is usually a time when we feel a little powerless or feel like it's not safe to speak. Or there's something that needs to be said that has not been spoken, that needs to come out, needs to be said, even if we say it to ourselves or say it out loud. So powerlessness is that feeling of separation from God. There's so much good in the world and being created in our world. But what gets the most airtime of the spoken word on the news, on social media? I talked about that pump at the gas station. Just, what messages are being spoken there? Stories of division, separation, prediction of impending doom, fear. And our human reaction is natural to have a fear response back when we hear that or hear so much of it being spoken. Human response to feel fear, to feel frustration, especially when we see things that are harmful. And we pray what to do. What is ours to do about it in this world? We see things that are unwanted. Things we would not have chosen. So this is a great time for us to strengthen our spiritual authority. Our spiritual authority. No matter what's been spoken on the airwaves, there's a greater truth speaking inside of you that is constant. That God self, that God voice. If we tune inward, and claim dominion over our thoughts and feelings. So when we do have an emotional reaction, it's good to be with the feelings, to notice them, to observe them, to cry if we need to, call a friend, get prayer support, to let it flow so they don't get stuck. Just to let it out. And then to take dominion over our thoughts and feelings. What am I going to focus on? Who is my true source of power? If I'm not feeling free, how can I get free? If we're not feeling free, we need to learn how to get free within something before we can get free of it. So we find our power within any situation. So how do we employ our power of power when feelings come up about being scared or disempowered? That's maybe the most challenging time, right? That's when we call a friend, call silent unity, sit in prayer, breathe, calm the nervous system down. I got to practice that this week as I've been noticing so many stories about artificial intelligence. Have you noticed that? And lots of scary stories about how it's going to get too powerful. Oh boy. So that shook me for a minute, and I had to just sit myself down and have a talk with God. And then I decided to just take a breath and be curious. Be curious and empower my sense of discernment, where you look at little parts of everything and consider what if. So the what if led me to this. First of all, artificial intelligence. Isn't that an oxymoron? Like artificial sweetener. It's not really sugar. So I was reminding myself that AI is a human creation. And it searches the past for what humans have created. And it stitches it together into something new. It's programmed by a human. And it's rehashing the data from what we, as humans, already created. So who remembers the Chatty Cathy doll? Anybody have one of those? You pull the string and she says a few things until she gets wet, and then, it just... My sister had one. So, the Chatty Cathy doll, years ago, 50 years ago maybe, a long time ago. And then my kids had this bear called Teddy Ruxpin. Does anybody remember the Teddy Ruxpin bear? He had a little cassette in his back, and he came with a cassette, and you put it in and press play, and his mouth would move and talk to you. Amazing. I think this is in the 80s, And my sister put a Metallica tape back there. So, my exploration led me to this question. What if what we're seeing now with AI is just a sophisticated version of Chatty Cathy and Teddy Ruxpin? What if? So artificial intelligence can never replace the artists, the singers, the dancers, the writers, the poets, the thinkers, and the creators. It can mimic, but it can never replace us. It's not connected to that invisible, mystical source and mystery of God. It does not have a soul. But you are a living soul. You are a living soul. We are living souls connected, created from, connected to that mystery and magic and just this abundance of infinite possibilities that have never been seen before. You are a living soul, and all that God is expressing at the point of you, through your consciousness, through your form. So fear not, those words, fear not, appear in the Bible 365 times, one for each day of the year. So this human condition, we're spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in a form, in a world of form. And knowing that any human misuse of power does not last. It will not last. That God is our true source of power. And no one and no thing can keep you from feeling grateful, loving, prosperous, whole, faith-filled. No one can keep you from that. No one and no thing. You have that power you were born with, that spiritual authority. God power empowers you. God's strength strengthens you. God's light illumines your mind with presence, divine ideas, infinite potential, and guided right action. So we know that Jesus had power and authority in his life by going frequently to his source. He knew that power comes from the one true source. He called Abba, Father. And his intellect and feeling were in alignment. And when they weren't, he went out in the boat to pray or up on the mountain to pray to get into that alignment. Communicating with the source of all. He can do it, and so can we. And we can power up our divine attributes here this week. And so let us close with prayer. So we just take a breath and maybe put the hand on your throat as we just energize this power center that is close to the heart. And we give thanks for the gift of power that we have, the power to choose our reactions to circumstances. We have the power to align with spirit and take charge of our thoughts and words, knowing that they have creative energy. So with gratitude and respect for this spiritual gift, let us go forth using our power to create our best lives and more love, peace, and joy in our world. Amen.